Welcome to the Grind to Greatness podcast, where we dive deep into the world of relentless determination, hard work, and unwavering dedication to help you unlock your full potential. We're your hosts, Jonathan and Joseph, and your mentors along this journey to greatness. Each week, we'll bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips where we've turned our dreams into reality through sheer grit and resilience. Whether you're looking to excel in your career, improve your health and well-being, or simply level up in life, this podcast is your go-to source for strategies, motivation, and the mindset needed to achieve personal excellence.
What's up, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Grind to Greatness. And today's podcast is sponsored by Elite Mind Athlete, the #1 online elite coaching program for high school and college athletes, helping them build the discipline required to build at the highest level. We built a user-friendly app that tracks their productivity where it counts the most, and that's learning how to clock in when everyone clocks out. We structure and organize athletes' day to execute 10 high-performing habits that focus on mindset, discipline, nutrition, and performance, called the Elite Grind System. If you want to become a champion, then you have to start acting like a champion. We give each athlete the tools and resources to be successful, along with elite coaching guidance to prep them to handle the extreme standards of what it takes to operate at the highest level. Visit elitemindathlete.com to learn more. Boom. So Mr. Joseph,
What up?
the new year is coming.
It's right around the corner.
It's right around the corner, man. So, we talked about nutrition. Well, we went pretty deep. Let's go ahead and let's talk about fitness, man. So off the gate, when I say fitness and we think in terms of people starting the new year, what comes off the top of your head, or where would you like to start?
So we dove into nutrition, and I was a little biased. I think I said nutrition was like the most important thing to do. And I want to say that for fitness is probably the most mentally positive thing you can do. So I want to start there. So I want to start on the positive effects of mental health due to grinding, sweating, getting your heart rate up, getting your respiration rate up, and the spiral of positive behaviors that can come from a positive workout routine.
So you want to start with, what's a mindset? Just reframing the way you think about fitness?
No. Just the pretty much like the endorphins from fitness,
okay.
Right? The dopamine effects, just the way that when you always hear the quote that's like, you'll never regret a workout, even a bad one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, get up and get moving in whatever capacity you want and need to. And the positive effects will be there regardless.
Okay. So if somebody's not currently working out today, you want to basically let them know what the benefits are of working out, because most people just have one perspective of working out.
Yeah.
Lose fat.
Yeah. Look good naked.
Look good naked, right?
I stole that from you, by the way.
So talk about it. What are the other benefits, and why would I even care about working out besides looking good naked?
Yeah, so pretty much, man, the workout itself is going to be difficult. So I'm not going to pull away from that. It's going to be uncomfortable, right? You're going to be sweating, and if you're new to sweating, it's going to be uncomfortable. Your heart rate's going to get up. That could be uncomfortable. Your respiration rate's you're going to feel like you can't breathe. That's going to be uncomfortable. You could have some GI distress as well. I feel like I'm going to vomit. I feel lightheaded. That's going to be uncomfortable. But after the fact, and as you continue, the way you walk out of or walk away from your workout is going to be so much more positive than the actual experience itself. And so hear me when I say, no matter what you do, whether you want to do a bunch of cardio, whether you want to do a bunch of strength training, whether you want to do CrossFit, whether you want to do whatever the case may be, when you finish, I guarantee you're going to be in a better state of mind than when you went in.
That's up, man. So anybody who's starting off with the new year, we want to help them and encourage them to go out and, fitness is always going to be that first thing everyone does. But is that enough? Like that right there, should I lean into looking good, or should I lean into this is just going to help me benefit me? Like what should I be leaning towards to help me keep going? Because most people are going to quit after six weeks.
Yeah, I would lean in. So if you, and we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast, but if you have given up before, and you're just like, we have a New Year's resolution and 6 weeks go by, 8 weeks go by, maybe even 2 weeks go by, and you give up, I would challenge you to get a part of a community. And this is why group fitness or just group activities are so positive and so long-term, is because you now show up for the community.
Yeah.
It's bigger than you now. right? Like you go because you've made friends or people expect you to be there or whatever the case may be. I tell people this all the time. It's not about the money. People are like, well, if I pay for it, I'm going to go. No, you're not. There's going to come a period of time where you just start throwing money away. And so if you struggle with showing up consistently for a long period of time, I challenge you to become a part of a community, whatever that community is. Again, this is why group fitness and boot camp classes are so powerful and so explosive nowadays. You see them on every corner, boutique gyms, boot camp gyms, CrossFit gyms, and it's because of the class atmosphere. And so if you are like, hey, where do I begin? Yeah, I want to look good naked, but I also want to see the positive effects of mental health.
Yeah.
But you know you can't do it alone. And we've talked about this before. If you have a negative atmosphere at home, spouse doesn't believe in you, you've quit before, so they say, you're going to give up again in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the case may be, and you're kind of on this journey on your own, I challenge you to go become part of a community.
Okay. So the basis behind it is just accountability.
Accountability.
Right, because you're lacking accountability.
Yeah. And a sense of belonging, right?
Yeah.
You go to the
Community.
gym you go to the gym by yourself, you really don't belong.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you don't show up tomorrow, no one really notices. No one really cares.
So what I'm hearing is, this is, if we're speaking, and it all depends on who we're speaking to. If you're speaking to somebody who struggles, right? If you're that person who is always on your list of going and working out, then these steps are for you. Is first you need to realize I need accountability, right? Because if doing it alone at the very beginning stages, right, you don't have that muscle yet to go and do things alone, and you need to be hyper aware that you don't have the muscle.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like it takes time to actually build those things, so you need accountability. And also to even add more of a structure and a framework to protect that accountability is being involved in a group accountability, which feeds off community. Everybody wants to feel part of a group.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a cost-effective way to essentially get the accountability from like a one-on-one trainer if you can't afford a trainer.
Yeah.
Right? Trainers are expensive, $60, $80, $100 an hour.
For one
hour,
for 1
right?
hour.
You could pay $100 a month for unlimited classes at Orange Theory, right?
Yeah.
Orange Theory, I want 5%. So
It's actually more. It's not $100 a month.
is it? It's more than that?
It's a little more premier price.
All right. So, but the concept still the same. Like you get a trainer, you get the accountability from the trainer and the community, and you're paying way less money. So again, if you struggle with consistently showing up for long periods of time, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, the rest of your life, which is essentially what this is going to evolve into, I challenge you to start in a community. And a lot of people are like, I don't like working out with other people. And it's probably because we have some insecurities of our own.
Or you're like me, I'm an introvert.
Or you're an introvert.
Like I will not go be part of a group. Like when it comes to like networking or doing things where I'm not known, dude, I get nervous. I'm like sweating. I don't like that.
Yeah, but if you go into the group atmosphere with the mindset of being ready to change, that's the insecurities. We walk into these groups in the same way, like if I go to a conference, I go to a seminar and stuff like that, I'm around other coaches and I'm here to learn, but there is still this, I'm an introvert, I'm not gonna talk to anybody, yada, 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 because I almost like we don't wanna change.
Yeah.
So if you go into these group fitness classes, you go into this company, whatever the case may be, and you're open-minded and you're ready to change, I think it'll be a little bit less scary or less resistive, because it's going to change you, and you can't walk into this community with your old habits.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're someone like me who's just a natural introvert and doing something alone is just not our first instinct, then I would recommend grabbing somebody along with you. Even if they're not even about it, just you showing up with me would get my foot into the door where I can build that, and then they can bounce when they want to bounce. But I need a place where I can still be myself. Right. So if I have you and I can still be me, and people will get to know who I am a little bit better because I can be me. But if I go into a group and nobody knows me, then it's just so weird. it's an awkward thing for me.
Yeah.
Super awkward.
Yeah.
How do I, like,
it makes sense. I like that. So bring a friend.
Yeah.
Essentially what you're saying for the first couple times.
Yeah, just come with me. I know you hate working out, and I know it's not about you, but if you love me, just do this for me, because this is something that I want to be involved with. I do want to make a little bit of a change. And I do like, now not to shout out Orange Theory whatsoever, but I like the structure that they have. Is one, it's more premier pricing, only because you have more skin in the game, right? You're less likely to like, it's $50, $40, whatever the case may be. There's just a little bit more skin in the game. Doesn't mean anything, because money's relative, right? But you have more skin in the game. The second reason is you have to schedule for a spot.
Yeah.
I like that, because now you're like, they created another barrier for you. You better show up or you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
Right, so I like that barrier that they created, because it's there to help you out. You may not like it, right? You may be like, oh, that's why I don't want to sign up. Well, that's probably why you should sign up,
right?
Because they created additional accountability for you without you even knowing it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I like that.
And that's a good concept of like, I think yoga does the same stuff. You have to schedule your yoga classes. You can't just show up. There's limited numbers of slots, essentially. And making you do that extra step is going to drive home some accountability. Yeah. So, anything like that you can get a part of. It's the same thing with your trainer. I got to schedule a day and a time to show up with you, right? So I better show up. And so, if first and foremost, like, don't think about fitness in the terms of it's going to be the one thing that makes me look good naked. It's going to be the one thing that gives me shredded abs. It's going to be the one thing, blah, blah. Don't look at it like that. Look at it as I need to create a positive change in my life. And if I can stick to a healthy fitness routine, then that healthy fitness routine is going to bleed into other areas of my life and promote more healthy things. Because we know after a good workout, you probably don't want to go drinking and partying. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that will bleed into other areas of your life, which will then spark just positivity all around and results all around. And again, we didn't even go into the fit, because we know people give up because they don't see results, right? Shout out to Simon Sinek and Tom Bilyeu on Impact Theory. Tom was interviewing Simon, and Simon goes, you go to one workout, you look in the mirror, nothing changes. Yeah. You go to your second workout, you look in the mirror, nothing changes. Third workout, nothing changes. We don't know when the change happens, but one day you're gonna look in the mirror and you're gonna see change. Yeah. We don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's not gonna be your first one. It's not gonna be your 10th one. And I think people go into fitness looking for immediate physical results, and they're not there, but what is there is immediate mental results.
So I feel like if people would just understand that one concept, right? I forgot who said this, but it's all about how you prepare your mind to go into something, right? Simon Sinek, obviously what he said was, don't look at for the result, look at it. If I do this, X, Y, and Z later down the road is going to be inevitable. It's going to happen. We don't know when, but exactly. So there's actually a frame. It's all about reframing the way you look at things, because right now the way you frame things is probably why you're stopping, right? Because so to look at anything in life that you want to see growth in, there's two ways you can look at it: is infinite and finite. Yep. And I think it's Simon Sinek who created the infinite, the whole, Simon. So, just an infinite, and you got to know the difference, right? An infinite game is, I don't know exactly the defined rules. It's a game that doesn't end, right? There's unknown rules. There's you're playing against something, right? You got to do X, Y, and Z, but there's actually no winner, right? It's infinite. And a finite game is like a football game. Like, who the opponent is, the rules are. At the very end of this game, you're going to win or you're going to lose, right? And so people look at almost everything in a finite way as like, there's a stopping point. I'm either going to win, I'm going to lose, which is why you get frustrated because you didn't lose the 20 pounds in the first 4 weeks like you wanted to, because you created a framework of thinking of finite. Damn, if I don't lose my weight in 4 weeks, my goal, right? Because everybody has this like specific weight goal that they want to lose. The way you framed it is causing your failure. But if you walk into it knowing I'm going to treat it as like an infinite game, knowing that your game is not to lose 20 pounds, your game is to keep the 20 pounds off. It's to get there and keep it off, because once you stop, you lose again. It's not to get fit, it's to stay fit long term. It's to stay fit, right? And so I understand that you want it now, but and I hate this word, it's a marathon.
Not a sprint.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Marathons still have ending points.
Well, the way people pace themselves and go like really slow. So what I would see it is I would keep the hustle high, the energy high, but understand that if you go as a marathon pace, you're going pretty slow. Right. Yeah. And nobody wants to do anything slow. So they might deter you at the very beginning. And so I would actually recommend, going pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because Tom Bilyeu, you said exactly the same thing. If I'm going to go in a direction, I'm going to go 1,000 miles per hour in that direction. I'm going to learn as much as I can in that direction so that I can go ahead and correct myself in the middle of that direction. Because if you're just, I'm going to go at my own pace and just, go slow. Well, you're not going to get what you want, first of all, because you're probably going to quit because you didn't get it fast enough. Yeah. And two, you're not getting a lot of progress, and you're going to quit. Right. You're just going to quit.
Yeah. And so, and I see what you're saying, and this is kind of like the unconquerable side of me. It's like dive on in. Like I don't care if you have to. If the only time you have to work out is 5 a.m., fucking wake up and go work out at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. So go do the hard things. And to your point, treat almost everything as a sprint. And sprint for as long and as hard and as far as you can. And along the way, you will find that the sprint is now like your new jog. That sprint got easier.
Yes, it's not the sprint to finish and be done with it, right? It's not an ending. It's the sprint to actually learn as much as you can and get the thing off the ground, because your goal is dead. It's not off the ground yet. And so to be able to pick something up, it's like a deadlift. You got to use a lot of force to get the weight up. But once you get the weight up, you get stronger, and now that's your normal speed, right?
Yeah, and you just keep going. And that's the positive things about, I think, community and accountability is in the beginning, it's going to be hard. Like boot camps are tough. Group fitness is hard.
Yeah,
it's go 24/7, every single workout. It seems like there's no break. And then again, your first handful of workouts are going to be physically draining.
Yeah.
And then you keep showing up, and then one day you're gonna be like, you know what? Actually, it isn't so hard anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's where we get to do more hard stuff. You get to learn new boundaries. You get to reach and do new things and do better things. And I always tell people this, but like the whole, and shout out to Jeremiah Burns, I think is his name, just messaged me the other day, and he said something different, but I have a very similar one. And I said, learn one, do one, teach one, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is like from an education standpoint, but same thing is like, all right, we got to learn about ourselves to know that we have a goal, whatever that goal is, and we know that we have to go work out. Well, then we're going to go do that workout. We're going to go do that program. And then I want you to go teach one, meaning in our situation, I want you to bring someone else with you.
Yeah.
I want you to become the influencer. I want you to become the accountability person. Instead of you going around looking for accountability everywhere, I want you to be someone else's accountability. Because once you put yourself in that role, you hold yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Like it's who knows the game better than the coach? Nobody. Right. And so then, or a good coach, a great coach, I'll say, right? So if your players know the game better than you, you're probably not doing your job as a coach.
Yeah.
Right. So I want you to learn your goal, learn your journey, learn your passion, learn what you want to do. Then I want you to go do it.
Yeah.
And then I want you to bring others with you to do it along, because that will keep you in the game much, much longer.
So what we talked about so far, we're literally just reframing the way we think about fitness, right? We hadn't even talked about fitness or training yet.
Yeah.
But that's always going to be the basis. You always got to set the frame and look at it differently, because the way you're looking at it, it's not working the way you look at it. So you have to reframe it, and you're not going to be able to reframe it unless you get the information.
Yeah.
Your next level will always require new information and a new version of you with new habits.
Yeah.
So get this information. Now, step 2, okay, cool. There's some strategies for me to actually start and stay moving. So I'm not focused on the result, I'm focused on the process. Yep. It's not sexy to say or anything like that. Yeah. But if I have goals, and I think we want to talk about is what's the best training that for me?
Okay.
Because like nutrition, there's a lot of nutrition diets. Which one do I do? There's a lot of there's a lot of training styles out there.
Yeah.
Which one do I do?
The best one for you is going to be whichever brings you the most joy that you enjoy doing. So like for you said earlier, I don't like group fitness. I don't like this. Okay, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If you're miserable showing up every single day, probably shouldn't do that. If you're miserable in the gym by yourself every single day, you probably shouldn't do that. So find whichever type of training makes you the happiest.
Okay.
And the thing that you kind of look forward to every day. Because let's say you want to grow a big butt and I give you some leg program that you got to do by yourself. And every day you walk into the gym and you're shy, you're scared, you're timid, you don't like being alone, so on and so forth. That program is essentially useless because you're going to give up on it essentially.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got to figure out whatever you want to do, you have to enjoy doing it. And if you can find that joy, and your joy might change. You might hate the gym, but then you start seeing results, you start getting stronger and more confident. Now you love the gym.
Yeah.
So we also have to be open-minded to that pivot, that change in perception of joy. But in the beginning, find the thing you enjoy the most. Because I promise you, fitness is great for a lot of things. It is not going to be the limiting factor to get you to your goals. It's going to be your nutrition.
Yeah.
I could be biased, but fitness is just a helping tool to get you to whatever. I want to be 5% body fat. I want a big butt. I want a yada yada. If your nutrition isn't on board, nothing you do in the fitness world is going to matter.
Yeah.
Right. You can build all the muscle you want. You can get stronger all you want, but you're not going to see it unless your nutrition's on point.
Okay.
So in the beginning, I don't care what you do. I want you to be happy, and I want you to get into a routine that you will do more often than not and enjoy doing more often than not and kind of look forward to every day.
So what you're saying is at the beginning, it really doesn't matter what you choose.
Nope, doesn't matter.
You just have to build the discipline and consistency of actually just showing up to a workout.
Yep.
And then, I like this because, most of the time, ask somebody of the goals, and depending on their goals is depending on what you're going to do, right?
Yep.
Like if I want to my goal is to look sexy,
Okay.
right? For a male, you want muscles and you want them to show. And so it's bodybuilding style workouts.
Yeah.
Or you might have somebody who I want to be strong. Like I just want to be strong. And then, okay, cool. We might do powerlifting. Right. So whatever your goals are, you have to have clear set goals, because then you need to know, okay, what's going to help me get there the most efficient. But I say, what you say is none of that matters.
Right.
If you can't even show up and do something. Yeah. Because later on, once you build the consistency of actually showing up and doing something you don't like to do, then you can start getting more narrow on, you know what? This group fitness is not really going to help me achieve my goal. Right? But now you built the consistency and discipline to actually show up to something. So now you can get more narrow of like, I do want that fat booty.
Right.
Well, now you can go do that glute, big booty, Brazilian butt booty workout, because you've already built a level of consistency and discipline to do something you don't want to do. Right. And so you can get a little bit more narrow.
Right. 1,000% agree. Or you could just cross train, right? You could do 2 days of your boot camp, 3 days of your booty builder program, and you just go back and forth between the two, so you don't miss out on maybe that first thing you enjoy, which was your group fitness. And now you also get to peer off just a little bit to go build your glutes specifically.
So, but I do want to be able to help, because we have to keep in context of who we're helping. We're helping the people that can't work out right now, right? Mm-hmm. Who are struggling to help out. If you're somebody who just it's already built consistency and discipline, then cool. We can get very direct on what's going to help you specifically achieve your goal. Because I think a lot of times where, I had males, I've been training males for a very long time, and females, but when I have a male in particular and I'm running a boot camp and they're here trying to look and get a physique, well, this boot camp is not going to help you get a physique. Right?
It's just not focused enough.
It's not focused enough. You're going to just, body fat percentage is going to get down. You might have a little bit of muscle pop into showing, but it's not going to get you to look curved and muscle bellies full.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so it's time to peel off, and you have different goals. Right.
Yeah. And we can talk about like more advanced fitness goers, towards the end of all this. But for the new people who, we try, we fail, we try, we fail, we try, we fail. We've never been able to make fitness a part of our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like this is who we're kind of targeting right now. And it's, hey, get in the routine, get in the habit, go do something that you enjoy. If you just enjoy walking, go walk. If you enjoy yoga, go do yoga. Like go find something that you enjoy that you can do consistently. Then, like your point, once you find the discipline, once you get the routine down, once you get the habits and the behaviors, then we can kind of peel off and we can start adding in some other stuff to get you the chiseled abs or the smaller waist or the bigger booty or whatever the case may be. But we have to start with like the lowest hanging fruit, which is I just need you showing up more often than not to something.
So to narrow down for those who are beginners, the the simplest way that I can put it to you is you have to, at the very beginning, standardize before you optimize.
Oh, I love that.
So what that means is you just got to be able to show up 2 to 3 times a week.
Yep.
Regardless of what it is. I don't care if your goal is to have chisel abs. None of that matters right now. Mm-hmm. The goal is I just need to show up 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah. And you have to understand and believe in your heart that 2 to 3 times a week is enough. A lot of times you're like, well, that's not enough.
Oh, they go 5 days a week, right?
I'm gonna go 5 days a week, and then you miss one day and you fucking never go back.
It's the absolute worst, man. I get new boot campers all the time, and I'm like, listen, there's always a conversation. It's probably the worst conversation. Don't come to me 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Can you promise to come to me 2 to 3 times this week? Mm-hmm. Because I just talked to you and you haven't done anything in like 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. I don't need you coming 5 times a week because I know statistically you're not going to show back up in 2 to 3 weeks because you've already burnt yourself out. You caused some injuries. We're on pavement. You overworked yourself. Like you went from 0 to 100 real fast, and you gassed yourself out. And it's a buildup.
Right.
So if you're that person, and I think everyone wants to do it because they want that result, is reframe the way you think about it. I don't need to focus on results if I'm new to the game and I haven't built nothing yet. I need to focus on just how can I show up 2 to 3 times a week. It's not sexy. I know it's not. Right. But without that, you're never going to achieve anything.
Yeah, for sure. And that's I think to your point, 0 to 100 is the fastest way to burn out.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and a lot of people, unless you have a life altering health condition or motivation somewhere along the way, like that will never work unless it's like, hey, do this or else. Right.
We just talked about going 0 to 100 and that you should go 0 to 100, but it's relative. My 0 to 100 is 7 days a week. Yeah. Your 0 to 100 is 2 to 3 times a week. So I think people need to understand, like, oh, but y'all said 0 to 100. It's all about context and where you are.
Right.
My speed's different. Your speed's different. His speed's different.
And that motivates us, right? Like going 7 days a week motivates me. That challenge, that grind motivates me. Like that is like the unconquerable way to like do fucking hard shit every single day. That motivates me. That's draining for a lot of people. And it's not possible for a lot, especially beginners and especially new people who have tried and failed. You have to realize that your 100 is 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah. And also, you're not going to like it. You're not, if you haven't been doing it, you're not going to like it, so don't expect to like it. You only start liking it is when you start gaining momentum and when you start getting some wins. That's when you get the dopamine effect, and that's where you start, you start getting connected to it, and then you start becoming that person where you don't want to stop. And then you start picking up your speed, right? And so...
And the phases of winning is, in the beginning, it's just completion. Did you do it? Yes or no? It has nothing to do with what actually it was.
That's so good. No, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I always challenge people, take your phone out, make a couple notes before you go to the workout. Yeah. How are you feeling? What are you thinking about the workout? So on and so forth. It's probably pretty negative when you're in the beginning. Then I want you to open the same phone up on the same note, write about how you feel after the workout. Just the sheer, I completed it. Don't talk about the workout at all. No, I don't care if you did kettlebell swings. I don't care if you did sprints. I don't care what you did.
I tell everyone that. I don't give a fuck what you do.
Yeah.
Did you do 2 to 3 times a week?
Yep.
I don't care if you gained weight. I don't care if you fucking lost weight. Yep. I absolutely don't care about none of that.
Yeah.
Did you do 2 to 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
And that sense of completion and that sense of gratification is so powerful.
It's a different dopamine effect.
But we never think about it. People never reflect. We've talked about reflect before. People never sit there and just think about what just happened.
You're losing out on a win that you're winning, but you don't even know it because you're not even thinking about it. So the whole goal is to keep learning how to reframe things so you're constantly winning to keep you up.
Yep.
Right? If you're just so focused on that 20 pounds, you're always losing. You're going to keep you down.
Yep.
Right? So what I always said, if I can just bribe you because you're going to quit, most likely, statistically, 92% of y'all are going to quit 46 weeks in. If you can just complete 7 weeks, you fucking won. Regardless of what you did, how much weight you lost, how much weight you gained, even if you moved in the wrong direction, right direction, if you did 7 weeks, you fucking won.
Yep. And I mean, to put in perspective, of those 92% that quit within 4 to 6 weeks, you will end up gaining 110% of the weight back that you lost in that 4 to 6 weeks, which is crazy to think about because as much as you went 0 to 100 in one direction, when you fall off track, you're going to go 0 to 100 in that other direction.
And feel 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And gain some weight.
You're going to gain more weight back. And so now let's say you were 150 pounds and, you know, if you lost 10, you're not going to gain back 12. And so it's like, you know, it's really, it's a struggle that everyone.
I've been down that road.
Everyone.
It's the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a nasty thing that you got to get out of, but it's all about reframing the way you think.
Yeah.
So
get into that frame of thought of, I completed it. That is my win. Dive into how you're feeling post-workout. And then a couple weeks into it, I want you to then pivot your wins to your strengths within the workout, right? So I always tell people this. Most people are good at something within the workout that we do, right? Everyone's gonna have a weak point. For me, I hate pull-ups. You make me do pull-ups, I'm gonna feel miserable 24/7. I don't care, right? But you make me do push-ups, that's my strength, right? Yeah, push-ups.
I didn't know. It was pretty weak. Well, it's all relative.
Yeah, but for me, that's my strength. That's my strength, right? And so, you know, not comparing myself to others, but to myself, I know that I thoroughly enjoy push-ups. And when I do push-ups, I feel like a beast when I do them. So then I want you to start focusing on that. I want you to focus on your strengths and I want you to double down on them because that's the thing that's going to motivate you to keep going. Right? Because we need to feel like we're winning.
Yeah, you got to create the win. You got to reshift the way you think. You recreate the wins.
And once you figure out what you're good at and you get motivated, you see push-ups on the board, you see fucking squats on the board, you see pull-ups on the board, whatever is your strength in the workout, like, you get excited. Yes, fucking push-ups are in the workout today. Hell yeah, I can't wait to crush it, right? It's not until much later down the road to where you can then shift your focus to your weak points. And be like, shit, I suck at pull-ups. I need to do pull-ups every single day. That is a very hard thing to do. And I think people do that too often, too soon. Like, I suck at running, I need to go run. Well, wait a second, like, let's just keep walking real quick. Let's jump rope. Let's just build some cardiovascular endurance before you just try to go beat your head into a wall running every single day. Because that needs to come later. I need you to do the things you're good at. I need you to do the things you enjoy. Early on. I need you to fall in love with the process, fall in love with the routine, fall in love with your strengths. Then you can pivot to your weak points.
I think that's why life is so difficult to maneuver through, is because we have all these different lenses and we're only comparing ourselves with the highest lens. You're a rookie trying to do pro things.
Right.
And I think that's where, in any area of your life, you're a rookie trying to do pro things. So when you try to do the pro things, you just fail miserably. Right. But there's always this blend into that people miss. They miss the process, the process to actually get there. And so there's this quote, not a quote, cliche is, and I think all cliches, it depends on where you are in the process for it to actually work. Every quote, every cliche, it all depends on where you at for it to make sense. So this one in general, you kind of just spoke about it, is I only compete with myself. Right? For me, makes no fucking sense.
Don't compete with others.
But for somebody at the beginning stages, makes all the fucking sense. But also somebody at the very top makes all the fucking sense. So it's understanding where you are. And I think people would just use that cliche or use something and be like, that's where I'm at. Because here's the thing. At the very beginning, you do have to compete with yourself, because if you look over here, everybody's kicking your ass. You're not winning. You're going to be losing. And so therefore you got to get out of that framework. So at the very beginning, compete versus yourself. Later down the road though, if you keep competing versus yourself and you never look up, well, you're still not winning.
And that's why I want you to, early on when you're competing with yourself, I want you to focus on how you feel post-workout. You compete, because in the beginning you probably didn't even want to show up, which is why I want you to take notes before you go. I don't want to be here. I'm fucking tired. I'm sore. I'm hungry. Whatever the case may be, I don't want to be here. Boom, go work out. Then check back in with yourself at the end. You're competing with yourself. Then once that I completed the workout becomes a little bit too boring, you then start competing with yourself inside the workout. And you start finding your strengths, push-ups, squats, pull-ups, whatever the case may be. Because so often, I ask people all the time, finish the workout, I ask my client, what do we do today? I don't know. They just like mindlessly go through the motions. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, we did so many things that you were really good at. So I want you to kind of slow down. I want you to think about what you're good at and compete with yourself. Hey, Last week I was only able to do 5 push-ups. Now I did 6.
Yeah.
Now I did 7. Hell yeah. So kind of slow down and start thinking about your daily wins inside of the workout, and capitalize on those things.
Yeah.
And so because if you look at someone doing 30 push-ups, you're always going to feel like a loser.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I only did 5. Well, bitch, 2 weeks ago you couldn't do any.
Yeah.
So
you're fucking winning.
You know what I mean? You're winning.
So like I said, there's 3 phases. At the very beginning stages, compete with yourself. But once you start getting into a solid routine and it's no longer a problem working out, it's no problem showing up, and it's now on autopilot, I encourage you to compete with others.
Yeah.
Because if you never look up, you're never gonna know what that new exposure actually is. So your next level will always require new information. And so if Joseph now, me and Joseph, we both are on autopilot, but I look over, Joseph's doing like 20x more push-ups than I am, and I didn't even know that. I thought I was doing awesome. Yeah. Now I'm able to like, hey Joseph, how are you able to do X, Y, and Z more than me? Now you're gonna be pushing me, giving me strategies to now improve it even harder. So now I'm gonna be competing with everybody around me.
Right.
And you don't start competing with yourself again until you're at the top.
Yep.
So you're going to hear Michael Jordan's, Kobe Bryant's, you're gonna hear all them saying, I only compete with myself. Well, because there's nobody else for them to fucking compete with. They're at the goddamn top. Yeah. And so at the only 2 ways you're gonna ever say this is at the very beginning and then at the very end. Yep. Everyone else, you need to look up at the scoreboard because you're probably losing, and whether you like it or not, you need to play to win. There's winners and there's fucking losers in life. And if you never look up, you're not gonna know if you're losing or winning. And if you're not looking up, you're probably losing. Yeah. You need to look up and see, oh fuck, there's all that over there? Yeah. Oh, let me go get some of that. I didn't even know that was over there. Let me go get some of that. Yeah. Go and compete.
You're not gonna, essentially what you're saying is you're not gonna know the other levels out there.
Yeah, if you're just down here, just fucking cruise it, but I only compete with myself. It sounds humble and cool, but if you listen to every fucking story of elite, hyper successful people, I competed with myself. I fucking got up and I was crazy savage in the middle, and then I got to the fucking top. I have to compete with myself again because there's nobody else to fucking compete with.
I will never forget, man. And the boot camp, man, it is like boot camps. There's just so many different types of people. But I had a client who was, let's say, 1,000 workouts in, but was so focused on herself, never looked up to see what other people were doing. Someone who was only 50 to 75 workouts in were doing more squats than her, more push-ups than her, more weight than her, blah, blah. Bro. She was just in her own little world. And I was like, but she was almost more excited about the 1,000 workouts than she was about her performance within the 1,000 workouts.
Of actually getting what you really wanted, which is the results. Because now you become romanticizing about this accomplishment that's not even helping you get to your goal.
Right, yeah. And like you've just been wasting time.
Yeah, now you're wasting time.
And again, there's levels. So in the beginning, that's okay. In the beginning, just show up. In the beginning, just go through the motions. In the beginning, just complete the thing that you need to complete. Do your 2 to 3 times per week. But there's gonna come a time where you need to look up and then you're like, hey, you know what? I've got the routine down. I'm gonna keep showing up. I got it, right? Yeah. Let's see what everyone else is doing. Because to your point, if I never know people are doing 30, 40, 50 push-ups because I've only been sitting here focusing on myself doing 10, I will never have the motivation to try to do 12, to try to do 15, to try to do 20. And external motivation is someone kind of yelling at you in your ear, be like, let's go, Jonathan. Come on, 3 more, come on, 2 more, come on. Pushing you, you're like, shit, I wanted to quit 5 reps ago, but Joseph's yelling at me, telling me to keep going. Like, that's what it's all about. But you're not there in the beginning. And then at the end, you've got to tell yourself that. Yeah. When you're at the top, you got to tell yourself, shit, I did 10 yesterday. I need to do 15 today. Yeah. And so again, recognizing the levels to it, recognizing like in the beginning, yes, we are telling you, keep your head down, focus on you, go through the motions, create the wins. But then at some point in time, you're going to have to look up and not in a negative way. People, that's the problem.
Leverage it.
People are like, don't compare yourself to others because like, they're in a different state than you are. No, like, that's not what we're saying.
At the beginning, don't compare. That's what I'm saying. People get too attached to something and they use it to just make themselves feel good about themselves for a long period of time. No, use it at the very beginning to get you started. In the middle, look up, compete versus others. Compare yourself versus others. Because and then get involved in that, put yourself in that environment, because just like on that marathon, you want to run with faster people because it's going to make you run a little bit faster.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
If you
it's
ran
going
by
to
yourself,
push you.
You would never PR.
Yeah.
If you ran by yourself, you would never hit a PR.
It's just very confusing when you hear the the highest people say compete versus yourself. And it's just because out of context.
Right.
Like I said, it all depends on where you are in the levels. Yeah, it's okay for the top of the people to say it because it makes sense.
Right.
It's okay for the very beginning people to say it because it makes sense. But I guarantee you, here's proof. Kobe Bryant made a kill list comparing themselves with other athletes so he could be better than them.
Yep.
He was like the last 50th or some shit like that. And then wrote him down. I need to be better than the 49, number 38, number 5, number 1. Right? He competed and compared. And then you hear him quote, I only work the Mamba mentality. I'm only looking to become my absolute best version of me every single day. Why? Because now I have nobody to fucking compete with.
Yeah.
So and that's the phase.
And then you leverage those people who are better than you, like you said, leverage
in a positive direction.
In a positive direction, and you say, what are you doing to make you so good at
Find out what they're doing and then do what they're doing.
And it's funny. So Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's personal trainer, who then became Kobe Bryant's personal trainer because Kobe was like, Michael, what the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck? Yeah, exactly.
You got a trainer? I want the same exact fucking trainer. Yeah. And again, you have to understand levels. And kind of like Simon Sinek said, we don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when you're going to switch from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3. I don't know. Yeah. But at some point in time, you've got to reflect. Are you holding yourself back from reaching more? And if you are, then that's when you need to look up and take score of whoever else is around you and be like, all right, I'm going to go take out that person. I'm going to go take out that person. Or I'm going to ask to work out with them and be their partner because I see it all the time when we do a boot camp. Hey, everyone grab a partner. No, very few people will grab a partner that is better than them. Yeah. They're going to grab someone who's either just like them or a little bit less than them. So they don't got to work so hard.
Are you going to get better doing that?
No, hell no.
Fuck no.
Go get the fastest, strongest person and be like, you know what, I'm going to do my best to keep up with you. You're going to whoop my ass, but that's okay.
But you're using, that's the greatest people in the world all learned how to leverage negative energy.
Yeah.
All right, and it's not arrogant at all. No. And I think people need to understand you just have to believe in yourself that much.
Right.
All right, to that you're going to push, and when you push that hard, you're going to improve.
Yep.
It's mind-boggling to me. It's just the context. Like it does bother me. People usually take it out of context. So it sounds arrogant to say that go compete with other people. Right? It sounds arrogant. But people need to understand when you do that, you're not arrogant because you have humility knowing that other people are better than you. It's humility.
Yeah. And you have to study the industry you're in. So, imagine trying to be the best coach possible, but you never go look at other coaches. Imagine owning the best real estate company possible, but you never go look at other real estate companies.
You're probably not the best.
Right? And so it's like, okay, well, you need to realize what other people are doing and learn from them. Yeah. Whether it's they're crushing it in this way, I also want to crush it in this way. Or I think they missed something over here. I'm going to go do that. Yeah. They missed it, I didn't miss it, I'm going to go do that. Which is why we have so many companies doing the same shit. Why do we have 14 different airlines? We probably have way more than that, right? Yeah. It's because each company, American Airlines, Southwest, Delta, they all saw something that a previous airline was doing really great and a previous airline was doing really bad. And they found that common ground of hey, I'm going to do a little bit of what they're doing and a little bit of what they didn't do, and I'm going to bring it into one, and I'm going to appease to a different group of people, different masses, right? You have people who are loyal to companies for that reason alone. It's hey, everyone's in the search for shoes.
Now we're getting into business. Now we're going entrepreneurship, baby.
But everyone's in the search for shoes, and it's well, why did you choose Reebok versus Nike or Hoka versus whatever the case may be? Yeah. And every company just did something a little bit different that appeased to you, right? And so for whatever your goal is, you have to look up in the industry. So and it's so easy now with social media. You can search hashtags, you can follow accounts, you can save videos and accounts, you can do all types of stuff, and you end up becoming, your whole world revolves around this goal of yours. A fitness goal, a weight loss goal, a building muscle goal, yada yada. So when you open up your social media, you see what everyone else is doing, and you get to be humble about it. Yeah. You know what, I'm not there yet, but that's what I want to work towards.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I think we really just covered the basis of actually reframing the way you think. But I think it's so important that you have to understand the spectrum and where you are for it to make sense. Yeah. And I think you mentioned something about we're going to go into nutrition or nutrition timing, right? For general population, nutrition timing really doesn't make that much sense for you.
Doesn't matter.
Right? It doesn't matter. But it does matter if you're an athlete.
Yeah.
The spectrum is different, right? So everything you look at, does it make sense for you?
Yeah. I love that question. I get new clients all the time. What do I need to eat after I work out? And I'm like, fucking nothing. Like, what did you eat the whole day? Yeah. That's way more important than what you need to do after the workout. So I guess with that being said, let's pivot.
Yeah.
We got a couple minutes left. Let's pivot to your level 5, level 6, level 7. You're approaching the top. You've got everything figured out. You're kind of, you're top 5, top 10. And
you got working out down.
Yeah, you're down, right? So now, we talked about this in like the early episodes I'm always a student. I literally listen to nerdy people talk about nerdy stuff all the time so that I can learn. I listen to the best. So Andy Galpin brought to my attention the other day, who is a professor in kinesiology and exercise science. And he brought to my attention the other day that the sweet spot, I won't say the sweet spot, the peak is 25 working sets per muscle group per week to maximize hypertrophy. Mm-hmm. After 25, you get kind of the laws of diminishing returns. So if you did 30, are you going to see more results in 25? Yeah, but not at the magnitude that you think it would. So so those extra 5 reps or those extra 5 sets aren't really worth it. And if you do less than 25, are you still going to see results? Well, yeah, but not as much as if you would have done 25. So for all my people who are like, I want to build muscle, I want a bigger butt, I want a bigger chest, I want bigger arms, blah, blah. That needs to be your range. And I talked about it on a call the other day with Facts Over Fads is, I need you to hit 25 working sets per muscle group per week. That's the goal, right? So we do 5 workouts for 5 sets. That's your 25 sets, right? Per week. And so everyone's like, well, how often do I need to hit chest? How often do I need to hit legs? Yada, yada, yada. You need 25 working sets per week. If you do it one day, great. If you want to break that into 2 workouts, great. You want to break that into 3 workouts, great. And so for people who work out every day, it might make a little bit more sense to do chest and then back and then legs and then shoulders and then arms, yada, yada. If you only have 3 times per week, you should probably break it up, full body, right? Because you need to get your 25 working sets per muscle group per week to maximize hypertrophy, to get the bigger butt, to get the bigger arms. And to clarify, a working set is you getting somewhere between, like, we would call it like RPE 8 or 9, or if you don't know what RPE is, which is rate perceived exertion, RIR, which is reps in reserve. So, and that needs to be 1 to 3 reps in reserve. So if I'm like, hey, Jonathan, do 10, and I put a weight on there, right? We did it today. You're like, oh, I could have done a fucking 50. That set doesn't count, right? He's like, am I working out my wife? Right? That set doesn't count. I need you to get within 1 to 3 reps of failure.
Yeah.
So if you do 10, it means you would have failed at 11, 12, or 13, right? That is a working set. And you need to do that for 25 sets. So most of us always do a warm-up set. That shit doesn't count.
Yeah.
Most of us will do another set that's like, I'm just like getting warmed up still. I'm just like getting, that set also doesn't count. Yeah. So to do, if we say, hey, do 5 sets of 5 exercises, well, probably your first 2 sets doesn't even count. Yeah. So really the only ones that counted were your last 3. Yeah. So for all my people who want to build, meaning you have to struggle. And and girls are on this positive fitness trend right now, and I love it. Girls struggle more than guys. I follow a lot of female fitness influencers. I follow a lot of males. Yeah. Males are there to look good during their workouts. They're like trying to get a pump. They're like in the mirror, yada, yada. Girls are fucking struggling. They don't even care if they look good or not. When they go pose and when they go do all these like silly things, yeah, they're trying to look good. But if you ever watch them actually do a set, I saw this girl fail on hip bridges the other day. Her face, it was wild. And I was like, I would never be caught dead failing on hip bridges. Yeah,
you know what absolutely. I mean? And you're talking, so like I said, you're talking to the advanced, you're talking to people who already got this down. Here is how to keep improving. Mm-hmm. You start getting into more detailed rate perceived exertion, RPE or RIR.
Reps in reserve.
Reps in reserves. That one sounds more layman, more easier to understand.
Yeah. You need 1 to 3 reps in reserve. Yeah. So again, if you do 10, it means you would have failed at that current weight at rep 11 or rep 12 or rep 13. Yeah. 1 to 3 reps in reserve. And so because there's gonna come a point in time where you notice your progress just stops.
Well, you're gonna first. I feel like you need to hit the volume. Right? You just need to continuously grow your volume. But there's a point where your volume becomes, well, I'm doing way too much now. Now you're not getting the bang for your buck.
Right.
Then you get more detailed and dialed into like, okay, am I actually pushing hard enough in these sets, or I'm just doing 10 sets of 10, bro?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Which is, so like, I mean, thinking about our workout today, like most of the stuff we did today was just kind of like going through the motions, getting a pump, yada, yada, yada. If we wanted to maximize hypertrophy, to me, for our workout today, the only really one that we...
Hypertrophy, grow muscle.
Build muscle, right? The only really sets that we did was in the beginning with like the tricep extensions and the curls, because we were doing drop sets and we were like fucking hitting failure, right?
I've gotten to the point where I've built the body that I want. I don't program my workouts anymore. I just literally my workouts are now to just get my mental win and to keep my physique that I had.
And that's and I mean, not to get off topic of growth, but maintenance is very easy. To maintain what you've built, it's actually very, very easy. It's like, it's bare minimum work.
But the way I work out now would not have worked in my 20s to achieve what I got now. In my 20s, everything was tracked, everything was hypertrophy, everything was programmed. And then I got dialed in. I learned with RPE scale, then I went a little bit heavier. My nutrition got a little more detailed. And then now, you're getting older. So it's like, I just want to feel good, move good, and mentally win.
Not me, bro. I'm in this weird mindset, right? We talked about earlier. You're like, Joseph, you're gonna do a cut soon? I was like, no, bro, I wanna fucking get bigger.
I just wanna look shredded.
No, not me. I wanna be a monster. If I could be, I'm like 225 right now, but like I said, I'm probably like 12, 15% body fat. If I could be 225 and 8% body fat or 7% body fat, I'd be a fucking monster.
And we talked about like the different mindsets, right? I'm someone who naturally puts on weight, so I naturally lean to, I just want to stay lean because I don't want to feel that way again. You're the exact opposite. You're somebody who is naturally skinny, so being big is your thing that makes you feel good. There's no right or wrong.
No.
I just think being lean and straight is way harder mentally, so I want to do hard shit.
Your nutrition obviously is much more important than mine. I'm like, I could eat McDonald's every day and put on a bunch of muscle. I mean, I'll be unhealthy, but so, but I mean, we're coming up on an hour. So guys who want to build muscle, girls who want to build muscle, 25 working sets per muscle group per week. However you break that down, whether you're working out 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, 3 days a week, doesn't matter. Just try to hit that number with your RIR with 1 to 3. Then everyone always asks me again, how much cardio should I do if I want to build muscle, right? And I'm like, well, your priority is to build muscle. So your priority is not cardio. I'm not saying don't do cardio. I'm saying don't let it interfere with your strength training workouts. So if you do so much cardio that you're so tired that now your workouts struggle, your priorities,
quality of your workout is going to go down. So once again, being super clear on what the fuck you exactly want for your goals. If it's strength, then we need to do things that serve your strength goals.
And so sprinkle in cardio.
For healthy reasons, for your heart.
Heart, lungs, blood vessels, brain.
But don't try to be a strength athlete and then want to go run a marathon. Like, don't be an idiot.
And it's so funny, I made a post about that the other day, and shout out to Shara, who fucking bothers me 24/7. But she's like, well, Joseph, what about hybrid athletes who are like freakishly strong and can run a 5-minute mile? And I'm
me?
I'm like, Shara, there's always the 1%. There's always the 1% that are great at all the things. Like, fuck, this person is like, it's not 99% of us. So I'm talking to the 99%. You're talking to the 99%.
I'm a hybrid athlete.
No, the fuck.
I run, my minimum run is like 10 miles. And well, see, I think it's really confusing when people start looking at the hybrid athletes and they look like bodybuilders and they're super fit. What they don't know is they've been bodybuilding for like 10 years, got tired of it, now went to go be a cardiovascular endurance athlete. And then now you look like crazy Greek god out there and like, I want to achieve that. They're like, hybrid training. No, it wasn't hybrid training, motherfucker. 15 years ago, you've been a bodybuilder style trainer, and then now you're just switching it up. I think that's super important to understand and look at what you're looking at, because that's deceiving. You want to do boot camp, but you want to look like me. It's not gonna happen, right?
It's funny, we talked about that on our Facts or our Fats call. It's like, guys, most people want to build muscle. Like we're in a weird phase right now where people want to build muscle. It's like really crazy. Right? Like, I want to get strong. I'm tired of being weak. And I'm like, boot camp is the worst place for you.
Yeah.
Like, I get it from it. And again, we're kind of pivoting to the next level. We're not talking about the beginners. We're not talking, right?
This is, I want to achieve my goal.
Yeah. My goal is to have a big booty. You are not going to build a big booty at Orange Theory. You're not going to build a big booty at F45.
If anything, it might get smaller.
It's going to get smaller.
Because you're losing body fat, bro.
Fucking nice.
And you're going to lose your chachis.
Yeah, hey, your chi-chis.
Your chi-chis, chachis, you're going to lose it. And so, so you have to start switching to get more specific because you're at a higher level now. So now you need to go and accomplish this. You're going to get very frustrated very fast.
Yeah. And then last but not least, let's talk about rep ranges. All right, so we want to build muscle, we want to get stronger. What are the rep ranges? It's so funny because current research is now it's getting better and better, and it's really realizing that it doesn't fucking matter. So for hypertrophy with building muscle, I want a bigger butt, I want bigger arms. How many reps should I do? If you hit your working sets and you have 1 to 3 reps in reserve, I don't care if that happens at rep 20, I don't care if that happens at rep 10, I don't care if that happens at rep 5, you're going to build muscle, right? So everyone's like, well, hypertrophy, 8 to 12 reps. It's really not 8 to 12. It's literally like 5 to 30. It's wild. Now, of course, if you flirt with 30 too much, you're going to lose strength because strength is 1 to 5, right? So 1 to 5 reps.
Explain the 3 rep schemes and then go in detail.
Yeah. So, but
because
I'll give you set bound. No, I'm not going to give you set bound. I'm going to give you ranges. Everything's a range.
Everything's ranges.
They bleed into one another.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So strength is again 1 rep max to about 5 reps, 6 reps, somewhere around there. It's pure strength. I just want to be strong as possible.
Yeah.
Your working sets need to flirt within that rep ranges. Hypertrophy again could be 3, 4, 5, but it also could be 20, 25, 30.
Yeah.
Because for hypertrophy, we want to maximize volume.
Yeah.
Right? 30 is a fucking lot of volume.
Yeah.
But the closer you get to 30, the more strength you might lose.
Yeah.
But you might not care because all you care about is building muscle. So you don't care about how strong you are. And then endurance is anywhere between like 15 and beyond.
Yeah.
Right? And so these things bleed into one another, and just realize the more you trend towards one direction or the other, you're going to lose out on one of those other things.
It's a scale.
Yeah. And so again, if you're like, well, I want to be an endurance athlete, then you're going to lose some strength.
Yeah.
Unless you're a hybrid athlete, right? If you want to do only strength, you're going to lose out on some hypertrophy or endurance.
So I know this is an amazing podcast, guys. Y'all need to listen to this, but I think what we're getting at is this shit's confusing as fuck. You just have to figure out where you are for it to apply to you.
Yeah.
Because it gets really confusing really fast if you aren't educated in it deep. Yeah. So if you're not educated in it deep, let's just focus on certain areas because it's like a blend of craziness and confusion and phoniness and lies and myths and all the jazz. Yeah. Because who is it? Nick Bear? He's a hybrid athlete. Hybrid athlete. But what they don't know is Nick Bear was doing bodybuilding shows early on. And like that's why he's like this jacked yoked dude who said, I wanted to do something harder.
Nick Bear.
Right. So it just understand. He's not phony. If you would look at the history of what he's done though, that's the problem. You look at a pinpoint of somebody's life and then what they say, but you don't understand the whole fucking spectrum.
Yeah. And Inky Johnson, I forget, I'm going to mess up the quote, but he essentially says, can you be addicted to the process of what you're doing without seeking the results of what you're doing? Because if the results, if the results aren't there, you're going to give up on the process.
Yeah.
So don't give up on the process. Like, you need to be addicted to the process. So going back to my man, Andy Galpin, he's like, hey, every 12 to 16 weeks, shift your process, right? So maybe we do 12 to 16 weeks of hypertrophy, and then we do 12 to 16 weeks of strength, and then we do 12 to 16 weeks of endurance, and then we go back to hypertrophy, we go back to strength, we go back to hybrid athlete, right? Yeah. And so, because a lot of times people just keep beating their head against the wall, and they're like, well, I'm gonna do strength, and they get bored, they get injured, because it's just repetitive, it's just repeated stress, or their progress slows down so much so that they're like, what the fuck am I doing every day if I can't am I getting any stronger?
Yeah.
We'll shift it, right? And go into a different process and take your emotions out of it. Like, understand the process, understand that, hey, we're gonna do this for 12 to 16 weeks and then we're gonna shift. And it's cool because once you shift from strength to, let's say, endurance, you're going to fucking get slapped in the face because endurance training is so different than strength. You're going to suck again.
Yeah.
And so if you fall in love with the process of grind, do hard shit. And this is, again, not for our beginners, but it's so fun. Like for you, I'll never forget when I went from Gold Gym to Camp Gladiator. Gold Gym, I did bodybuilding, every single day. Literally woke up the next day and had to do the 10 boot camps in like a week, right? And I was dying.
Yeah.
But it was kind of fun because it was so hard and it was so different.
Fall in love with the process. So the man who loves walking is going to get way further than the man who loves the destination, right?
Love
Absolutely. Because now everything becomes fun.
Yep.
Me sucking at entrepreneurship at the very beginning, it's fucking fun.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a new challenge. It's something new. Yeah. So we just hit the nail on the head, guys. Learn the phases. Once you get good at the phases and you build that discipline and consistency, compete. And once you start competing, you're going to start learning to fall in love with the process. And when you fall in love with the process, you just get more optimized. It just starts getting more detailed. And it just gets really fun. It gets super fun.
And never forget to include or incorporate what phase of life you're in, right? Like you said, you're in a different phase of life. These athletes are in a different phase of life. This person in a different phase of life. And so be ready to change, pivot, adjust based off of seasons of life. But again, if you can fall in love with the process, if you can fall in love with the journey, if you mentally believe day in and day out that you're going to do this forever. This is an infinite game.
Infinite game.
This is an infinite game. Read the book, Infinite Game, by Simon Sinek. It's a business book, but it applies to all things in life. You're gonna last much, much longer, and you're gonna be 10 times happier, I think. Once you realize that there is no fourth quarter. There is no fourth quarter. It's never coming. The game is never coming to an end.
Because once you lose that 20 pounds, guess what? You're still not gonna like what you see.
It's called body dysmorphia at its finest.
At the top of that mountain, you're at the bottom of the next, and it's just continuous, guys. It's continuous.
Yeah, but hopefully you got some nuggets, right? So remember, 25 working sets per muscle group per week. Close to failure, again, 1 to 3 reps in reserve. Whether you do that in 3 workouts per week or 7 workouts per week, the results are gonna be there. Remember that strength is your lower rep ranges, hypertrophy is in the middle, and endurance is beyond, but they all bleed together. The more you pivot to one end of the spectrum or the other, you're gonna lose out on the benefits or the adaptations of the other. So if you're a primarily strength athlete, your endurance is gonna fucking suck. And if you're an endurance athlete, your strength is gonna suck. And if you're a hypertrophy athlete, you'll be basic at both of those two things. You'll be very basic.
Unless you're that 1% anomaly, outlier guy, don't quit watching them.
I know.
They're fucking all your gains up. But anyways, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Layman terms, this whole podcast can be, said in one sentence, is not even a phrase, actually. Standardize before you optimize. Boom. That's all this is. Standardize before you optimize.
Make a shirt.
And so, hey, I hope you got a nugget. Be sure to do us one big favor. I need you to share this podcast with somebody. Doesn't matter who. Let's impact at a high level and just keep impacting. And as always, don't work to keep up. Work to separate.
Love it.